Lebanon. What's the geopolitical situation? So many have asked. Here we are. By the end of this video, you'll know the full details. And I'll give it to you, of course, unbiased and without the Western spin. Now, I need you to, hang on, take a seat maybe, ideally. Drink some cola or tea or coffee. I've got this new one, Salam Cola. I'm not sponsored or anything, but it's nice. It's nice. And the history I present here might not be the kind you've heard before, especially in the English language. There's no spin on this, especially the Western spin. So I'm going to leave it to you to decide for yourself, but I'm going to give you the facts and my analysis, which is, I suppose, biased in some way. But I'm trying my best to remain impartial here. So let's go. I need to start with this. Lebanon is a French colonial project, an example of divide and rule. You see, when the French defeated the Ottoman Empire at the end of World War I, they took control of Syria at the time, and they carved off a slice of Syria and called it Lebanon. Why? Because Paris wanted a Christian majority state in the Middle East, a permanent Western foothold disguised as an independent state. So not legit was the country that was formed. So arbitrary was what to call this state, how to border this state. It was so, made up, to be blunt, to be crass, that how did they even call it Lebanon? Some French guy, let's say Pierre, and was, he's speaking to Jacques, and he was like, shall we call this area? What should we call this place? Do we have a name? And Jacques is like, I don't know, monsieur. Should we consult the locals, the Arabs, as it were? And Jacques, Jacques, was it Jacques or Pierre? I forgot my own story. Pierre was like, hey, you Arab, what is this place called? What can we call it? What can we call? And the Arab was like, يعني ابن كلب هذه جبل لبنان. And Pierre was like, oh, Mount Lebanon. Oh, it's a nice name. It's got a certain je ne sais quoi. No, Pierre. Let us call it Lebanon. Oui. And, Pierre was like, yeah, come. Obviously, that's not exactly how it went, but you get the point. I really longed that one out. Sorry if that tested your patience a bit. But Lebanon is called Lebanon because the mountain next to it is called Lebanon. Mount Lebanon. Jebel Lubnan. Okay, anyway. The confessional system used in parliament today in Lebanon, used right now, attests to this French sort of made-up project narrative. What they created, the French in Lebanon, isn't governance. It's institutionalized division. Christians get the presidency, Sunni Muslims get the prime ministership, and Shia Muslims get to be parliament speaker. I'm not making this up. Now imagine, by the way, in France, if it's like, if they did a polling and it was like 40% are Christians, 50% are atheists, 10% are Muslim. Would it fly in France to say, okay, the president always needs to be an atheist, the prime minister always needs to be a Christian, and the Muslim gets to be the House Speaker? That you'd be like, what kind of fake democracy are you running here? What show is this? What scam is this? What sham is this? That's literally how it is in Lebanon, guys. That's how they just made it like that. They're just like, you guys, your whole power structure is formed on, who you are. Like, every position is locked by sect. Every citizen is trapped by religion. To hammer this point home, do you know the demographics of Lebanon in terms of religiosity, or, in terms of the religious distribution? I don't. Nobody does. Lebanon does not conduct demographic checks, censuses, or polling. They have not done so for 90 years. Because if they check how many Muslims, how many Shia, how many Sunni, how many Christians, Maronite Christians specifically actually, if they check the numbers, it could upset that ridiculous skewed system that the French put in place with the president has to be one thing and the prime minister has to be is divide and conquer perfected into constitution. You're not allowed as a state to poll the the religion of your citizens, because it might upset the balance of your colonial master who set things up like that. Now in 2025, we're watching this artificial construction essentially collapse. There's many parties vying for power in Lebanon. This tiny economy that struggled for years due to this divide and conquer madness is been caught between opposing regional foreign powers. And one such political party, calm down, okay, don't start going haywire. A political party in Lebanon is called, you must have heard of it, Hezbollah. They are a political entity, but of course, you probably know their military wing, which operates to this day in the south of Lebanon. We'll refer to them as the Lebanese paramilitary, a military force outside the direct control of the state. So it's not the military, but it's a paramilitary, it's a quasi-military, a semi-thing. Now Hezbollah's power was weakened after Assad's fall in Syria, because Iran supported the Lebanese paramilitary through Syria. If you got Iran here, they would funnel stuff into Syria. I used to call Syria under Assad a pit stop, and then they would go straight to South Lebanon to resupply. But now that Syria is no longer balkanized and fragmented, it's not like a weird no man's land, which, by the way, Israel was very happy with. That's why you didn't see Israel have any problem with Bashar al-Assad as far as, actually fighting him. Assad and his father ruled Syria for 50 years, and Israel had no problem with them. Now all of a sudden there's further invasion from the Golan area, and there's negotiations, and it's tense, and Turkey is getting in, because Syria is a different beast now. Anyway, that's Syria. That's for the Syria video. What I'm trying to get at is Syria is currently, for the people at least, on the mend because it's unified. But that means Iran's established corridor to support Hezbollah has been broken. The new president of Lebanon, Joseph Aoun, Maronite Christian, because it has to be, and Prime Minister Nawaf Salam, Sunni Muslim, because he has to be, they're both Western-backed reformers promising to restore state sovereignty and disarm militias. That's the official line. What that translates to without the Western spin, if I rip the Western spin out, is they want the whole state under the Western sphere of influence. You can't have the South moving a bit mad occasionally. You can't have Iran-aligned paramilitary in the South. They need to be disarmed, so we're working on it. That's the way it's going. But here's the truth you won't find easily. Lebanon's new leaders aren't Lebanese patriots. They're the latest French and American puppets, or aligned with the French and American states. The same Western powers that created this sectarian nightmare are now presenting themselves as the saviors. You're going to reform the country, but you're backed by the ones who formed the country, deeply flawed in the first place. Excellent logic. The West. You see, they're offering conditional aid and support, but only if Lebanon follows their reform agenda. Reform meaning get rid of anything that's not Western aligned. The Lebanese armed forces are dismantling the Lebanese paramilitary's weapons under Western supervision, while, it has to be mentioned as a comparison, Israeli forces are occupying border zones in Lebanon. So paramilitary in Lebanon can't be armed, but another foreign nation, Israel, can come in and occupy parts, no problem. Because obviously that's a Western aligned. Don't be silly, muffles. They don't need to follow the rules. They're on the side of the West. It's the rest that need to follow the rules. Come on, keep up with the program, right? In July 2025, Lebanon stands at a crossroads, but both paths actually lead to the same destination: continued foreign domination, whether through Lebanese paramilitary resistance aligned with Iran, or through reform to fully align the state with the West. Lebanon remains what it always has been from the start: a playground for external powers. That might be regional powers, or it might be international powers, or it might be both. From its origin, it's been like that. The confessional system that survives to this day and serves the foreign interests is the perfect example of that. You still have the division of president and prime minister based on religion that the French installed in the first place. True Lebanese sovereignty, this is a hot take, would arguably require, analytically speaking, an overhaul of the sectarian state entirely. You need to just start again, right? Native rule with no strings connecting the state to the old world of Europe. Native rule for the Sunnis and the Shias and the Christians and the Alawites and the Druze and every other native group, but native rule nonetheless. To scream and shout and be patriotic for Lebanon as the state is now may be misplaced. It might be that you're falling into the palm of the Western powers that created Lebanon in the first place. One more division, one more set of lines through a region once completely unified, one more line to divide, and one more line to distance the natives from the prosperity and the dignity that they deserve. For the unbiased news and analysis without the Western spin, I'm Mahfouz. It's been a pleasure. It continues to be a pleasure. And I'll see you on the next one. I smoothly ended that, by the way. 10-minute mark, I smoothly ended that. I'm actually proud of myself.